somebody who not only has that work ethic for themselves, but has like fosters that in other people.
Yeah.
You basically got to have an experience that, you know, didn't exist a few years ago, really, as far as I know. You know, I've had some friends over the years that have made some small films and entered them in festivals and things, but this feels like a movement. And that there, you know, I'm a huge subscriber to the idea of learning by doing. And, you know, now you start to get some skills under your belt and you can pick and choose what you want to do and what you want to further, you know.
I agree. Like he's a self-starter. I've met a lot of people and I know a lot of people that are lost, and they're lost because it's not an innate ability all the time for everyone.
Right.
You know, like I am a fast learner, but I learn faster by being shown what to do than by figuring it out on my own sometimes. Like if you just show me, then I got it. But if I got to figure it out, it might take twice as long, depending on what the thing is. And, you know, number one, having people to go and ask questions to or even bounce things off of, or, you know, can make a difference. And, you know, some things you just put your head down and you power through it, you know. But I went to school for music business, and then being that he liked my work, he saw potential there, and he asked me to work on the soundtrack. And then he, you know, pointed out to me, like, you know, you're a good writer. I think you'd be a good writer. Like, you're a good songwriter. I think you could write whatever you wanted, even though that idea didn't even jump into my head, you know, until somebody said it to me. Because sometimes you make the boxes yourself and you just get in them, you know. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to do that, so I don't know how to do that. Like, and then that's where it stops.
You get stuck.
Yeah. And then sometimes somebody has to thump you in the head and say, well, who said you can't do it? Like, you can't do it.
Especially in you know, an artistic endeavor.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to kind of go outside of your wheelhouse, because if you stay in your wheelhouse, you're not going to get a lot of support or opportunities.
Yeah. Exactly.
And absolutely.
Exactly.
So can you kind of, I want to get into talking about sort of the genesis of the film festival, because I stress out over, you know, I've had to you know, with my my partner Janelle, and I have had to kind of plan and execute like relatively small book launch events for a single person and that sort of thing. I can't imagine at this point, you know, given enough time and maybe relaxing a little bit, I you know, I'm not going to say I can't do anything, because I know I'm capable of a lot, but this whole idea of executing a film festival, like a whole fucking festival,
right?
You know, what kind of groundwork? What were the conversations like initially to say, okay, we're going to essentially create a movement. We're going to create something that isn't there right now, truly, you know, representative of independent filmmaking festival that lasts over a couple of days. There's all this juggling, you know, it takes place at multiple venues.
Right.
You have multiple disciplines in there.
Yeah.
You know, what was the whole impetus for that, and how did that kind of get off the ground?
Okay. So, I'm going to do my best to speak on behalf of my generals. I'm a lucky co-director, but Mango Sky's primary partnership of Maddie Steinkamp and Peter Juarez is like, to me, like a young Superman and Wonder Woman. Like, they get together and big things happen, like big things. So they've made a lot of art and put out a lot of films over the last 5 years. I won't try to name them all, but like two of the most recent ones being Play the Documentary and You Racist, Sexist Bigot. So they've been a part of like over 50 film festivals over the last year or two, worldwide, excuse me, and walking that path, they got a lot of experience. They learned the ins and outs of it. and they looked at it time and time again, and they felt like the ones that we were most excited about were the ones that were focused on giving back to the community and giving attention to the filmmakers. We submitted to big ones and small ones, unknowns and knowns, and it just seemed like the ones that were more indie and more focused on the actual filmmakers and the people putting the work in and highlighting those people were the best ones. And we realized that we didn't have anything like that here in Arizona, in Phoenix, or in the Southwest in general. So first, we just realized there was a need that needed to be filled. And then when those two see something, they do something. And, they ask who's coming with them. And I put my hand in the air. And, they wanted to fill the need and create their own festival somewhere where there wasn't one, in a city that we felt like definitely needed someone to shine a light on it the right way and to bring the right ideas and attitude to the table before the wrong ideas and attitude get brought to the table, by another party, because if you don't do it, somebody else will. Like I've seen that happen time and time again.
And suddenly it becomes this kind of exclusive thing as opposed to trying to be inclusive.
And something that has no concern for the best interest of the filmmaker is just about
the artistry itself and those involved in it.
It's about money. It's about profit. It's about, bottom lines.
Yeah.
And not building something long term and doing it with purpose and love for the community. And I think that's what drives them. Like they love their city. I love this city and what it's done for me. And we want to make a positive, lasting impact. So they just looked at the steps involved in submitting to these film festivals, how they work, how they run, and they just realized they could do it themselves. And you just start from the first step, you know what I mean? And they set it up. They, advertised it. They got submissions from all over the country and the world. Like,
I saw you got film showing from South Africa. From when did that process sort of begin? When did how long has this been in the works?
About a year and a half. Okay. About a year and a half, almost 2 years. They came up with the idea. They planned it out before, I ever got there. They were talking about it because they were doing it before I got there with You Racist, Sexist, Bigot. They were already making the rounds and winning awards. Yeah. And so when I came, they were in the, I'd say, fundamental stages of beginning.
Gotcha.
And so he was kind enough to give me the title of co-director, and I directly assist him with whatever he needs to get it done. He is, the Tom Brady, and Peter is the Belichick, and they just destroy you with consistency and quality. Like, just first down. Every time they throw the ball, it's a first down, and it's really cool to watch because they work so well together. They were on the Young Turks. Whenever that documentary shows, like it makes something happen. And, they screened in Tucson, and just a couple of days ago that went well, and so they just want to create something bigger, something that gives them the opportunities and other people the opportunities that they wanted the whole time, everywhere they go. Exposure to the people that are really in the dirt and really fighting to be heard, especially that aren't normally heard, because a huge concept of what we're doing is giving a voice to the voiceless and inclusion.
So how were people able to submit? Did they have to just send in? Did they have to send in? I don't know how this works in relation to other
So this is
book submissions.
It's really grassroots.
Submissions. Okay.
It's really grassroots, which is cool because it's not to the point where we can't talk to you if you don't do it this way.
Sure.
So we got submissions via email. We got submissions via just knowing people. We asked some people if they had work to submit, and then some is just through the network of artists we know locally and worldwide.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I am curious. I do think that for something like a festival like this to work, you do have to have that national and international component.
Yeah.
But what would are you familiar with what the sort of ratio is of local to outside filmmakers?
Oh, geez, the exact ratio, I don't know.
I mean, like ballpark. Do you still feel like it's enough to be a predominant showcase for locals?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. If there's not an equal amount, I'd be shocked.
Okay.
Because we're showing not just film, but art and also music videos.
Yeah, I saw that.
Are a huge part of what we're doing. And all of those are either film submissions within themselves or local artists.
Okay.
So, he's had to turn down a few things because they weren't indie enough, and they weren't, they were too big. They was like, they don't need us.
Right,
they're huge,
yeah,
they're big
okay.
already. They don't need to be.
So that sounds like a key thing to me too. That it's something where it's a promotion for the artist and not necessarily something that's already going to have a machine behind it.
That's a huge part of it, because there's plenty of outlets and access and opportunity for people with large budgets, people that are already vouched for, people that are already in the hot spots,
people who are gonna make the circuits of Sundance and Telluride or whatever. Yeah, sure.
But what about the people who are amazing that you would have never heard of because of those things not being available to them? That's really what we're focused on. I think that's what makes this special. Like the stories behind the creators and the stories that the creators are presenting are both unique, because we're focused on including lesser known perspectives in reference to what you normally see in everyday pop culture. We're going the opposite direction, and we're proudly doing that.
Now, do you know how are things sort of put out there over the 2-day period? Do you have like a feature film portion and then like a music video showcase? And
that's pretty much right. It's 2 days. It's 30 films in 2 days, February 1st and 2nd. We have 12 different events stretched across 3 venues, Film Bar, Crescent Ballroom, and Past Cantina, as well as some other surprises. Because we're doing art installations around town.
Gotcha.
We'll have the Let's Be Better Humans bus, which I don't want to say too much about. It's just one of those things. You got to come see what that is. Like,
I'm already my intrigue is peaked. Like, it's a bus and it's about being a better human.
Yeah, now you got to ask yourself, what could that be? And you have to go to find out. So we've tried to make it as affordable as possible. It's
not bad for 30 films over 2 days, and it's what, $90, $70, something like that.
Well, each event can be purchased separately for $10, a flat rate for each thing.
There's a festival pass,
right? And the festival pass is $75. You save over $25 by doing that, and you can get access to everything in advance. You can have a reserved seat if you schedule it out right. And you'll be able to see a good chunk of everything if you plan it out right. So it's going to be really cool. It's the only festival in this region where all the venues, there's multiple venues and you can walk to them all. Yeah,
it sounds. I was just kind of envisioning the radius of that, and it's very walking friendly.
Yeah, it's not more than a 15-minute walk between venues, and it's
still
going
a nice
to be
time of year.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's not during the murder season where
right.
the Mad Max time of year, as I like to refer to it. So,
or even if you're not wearing mascara, suddenly it's running down your face. Yeah,
right.
Now, what kind of programming is surrounding the films? Are there filmmaker Q&As? Are there any discussion panels involved there?
Yes, we're doing that too. Like the guy thought of everything, like which is cool because he thought of things